What does this look like in real time? Well, here's what I want you to think about for most of your organizations. Do you feel that your methods, your procedures, your processes are kind of like a cookbook? The cookbook that says, here's the steps that you do. And as I work through my steps of my recipes, if you deviate from the steps, you're going to have a problem. You better have a clear set of recipes. I want you to think about that. When we have a problem, what do? We come up with a checklist, we come up with a response plan. It's pretty specific of what we've got to go through. But the challenge is that we've become complacent with our cookbooks. We've only followed the cookbook. Okay, back to my sports analogy. How many football teams go into a game knowing all 60 to 70 plays they're going to call in order from the beginning of the game to the end? They don't, right? They call 4 or 5 plays and they look at what's coming at them and they adapt, they change. But what they have is a book of plays that allows them to change and adapt to what they're seeing on the other side. So here's what I want you to think instead. Instead of the cookbook, okay, and following the step-by-step instructions, I want you to think instead of Chopped. Everybody remember Chopped from the Food Network? Chopped. You open up a basket, it's got items in it, you have no idea what's in there. Kind of like your team is facing disruption or change. What's coming next week? But what do the contestants on Chopped fall back on? They fall back on basic culinary techniques that they've been trained in. Their knife work, how to do a mise en place, how to cook certain things. And that, coupled with experience, enables them to get creative and adapt to whatever was inside that basket when they opened it. For you at work, I want you to think about this as what we call power plays. Power plays are those little techniques, those plays or processes that you can use as a team over and over again. You can fall back on them. And just like you see in sports, you can build a playbook filled with these power plays. Because these plays are what you always fall back on no matter what's confronting your team in the middle of a game. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what you're going to see, but your team has worked and practiced basic plays that allows for a level of consistency in the way that they respond to change or disruption. This enables them to become adaptive and resilient. Now, one of those plays I want to share with you today, it's a great one. I love this. It helps so many leaders get started with their team, is focusing on this outcomes over outputs. In our teams, we've gotten so good of just creating activity, doing action. We create outputs all day, whether it's a deliverable or a document or something that we've created there at the office or in your organization. But why are we creating that particular output? What's the meaning behind it? And what was the purpose for doing it in the first place? That's what I want you to think about differently. So here's what the power play is. The power play is real simple. We call it leader's intent, and it answers this phrase: success to me looks like blank, and you fill in the blank. Now, that may not be a very easy thing for everyone to do, but it's a very simple technique. Success to me looks like blank. And that says that when you're done with whatever it is you created, the action you did, the output you created, what's the effect that you had after that? So I want to give you an example. How many of us have had a project where IT's done something to us, right? I had a client one time that said, every Monday I come into my office, IT did something to my computer. I don't know what they did, but I cannot work until Monday afternoon. And I told my team, I never want to hear that phrase again. Success to me looks like I never hear that phrase again. So for IT projects, think about how you measure success. When I ask a lot of project managers, the main response that I get is on time, on budget, and in scope. But think about that answer. How many of us ever set out doing any project that we're going to go like, hey, we're going to go over budget on this project. It's going to be awesome. No. What if instead I said, success to me looks like for 90 days after we deploy the software, my phone rings only with compliments. I want you to stop and think about, would that change the project? And think about how it would change your project, the way you would expect it to be educated or implemented. Instead, you're going to have more interaction. We're trying to minimize the disruption that the project or the change could bring into the business, because we want my phone to only ring with compliments. So in that case, simple answers. It didn't say about deploying software, being on time. Those are all basic requirements. The effect we're creating is that my phone rings with compliments. Now, this technique can be used in a lot of different ways, and I want to show you kind of a very tactical way it could be used. If I had two people working for me and I gave them this particular success statement. So success to me looks like that coming out of this meeting, we have either captured all the requirements or we know where to go get them. And assuming that I'm giving it to people who really do know how to go get requirements. I'm not setting anybody up for failure on this. If they say, how long should that meeting last? I can now ask, how long do you think it should last in order to achieve this outcome? Who should be there? Who do you think needs to be there in order to achieve this outcome? As a leader, this is establishing that flag that I showed you earlier. It allows you to see where your gaps are sometimes in your team members, but to give them the freedom that says, this is the effect, this is the outcome that I want from you. And now I'm going to support you and guide you and coach you as you're going towards that.